have done well. You made it through the winter, once again. You will soon be unburdened of these cold days. You can soon enjoy everything again. I do not know where the summer will bring you, but the smell of the storm will appease you. It will be okay. You've been here before. You've always managed. All your thoughts are part of your pathway. Nothing is ever the same. The entire universe is growing with you. You are not alone. You are the universe, as am I. The magic of nothing is that it can contain everything. In the end, everything passes.
I didn't make that video. Every part of it, the writing, the animation, the direction, the music, the sound design, all of it was done by a single guy. That poem makes up a segment of a larger narrative, one that isn't explored in a single YouTube video, but rather over the course of an entire YouTube channel over a period of 2 years. I want to take you through a digital autopsy, analyzing an entirely new way to do YouTube using the single best channel that you can't watch. But you just watched it, right? Not exactly. I lied to you. like just now. Not every part of that video was made by him. It usually would be, but the keen-eared amongst you might have noticed that the voiceover voice in that video was me. I added it in post. So let me show you that video again, but this time from the start, the part that I purposefully omitted.
En ce moment, je fais pas mal d'insomnie. Mais récemment, il y en a une qui a attiré toute mon attention.
I want to tell you that I'm sorry. It would be an insult to your intelligence to goad you for too long. I don't like to clickbait. So let me be transparent. I think this channel is really interesting and tells a phenomenal story. One, I promise, hasn't quite been explored in the way I will in this video. But the reason I said you can't watch him is just because he's French. Unless you speak French and you watch YouTube in French and you get lucky, you would never be able to understand his videos or get recommended his videos. So that's why I say you can't watch him. I know that's boring and a little misleading, but seriously, I do think there's something that is really special about this channel that I want you to know about. You are watching YouTube because you like YouTube videos. Most creators will use YouTube as a platform, a place to just put your videos so that your viewers can see them. It's what creators as small as I do and as creators as large as Mr. Beast does. It is the status quo. But the channel we're going to talk about, Skarblown Animations, uses YouTube not just as a platform, but as a medium. Sorry, what the fuck does that even mean? That's a good point. Let me explain using a useful example. At the beginning of the video, I showed you the halfway point of our story. It's the equivalent of when Sam and Frodo go to Mordor alone, splitting from the Fellowship, or when Luffy is at Marineford. A video entitled Ça va aller, or It Will Be Okay. The video is about a man who stays up late with a bad bout of insomnia. He says that this night is a particularly bad one for his sleep. You know, the thoughts just don't seem to go away. He's just been lying in bed, listening to music, and the clock has gone well past 4 AM. At that moment, he is visited by a blackbird, who tells him it'll be okay, and welcomes the spring. That's when the poem from the start of the video occurred. I'm going to return to this poem later, analyze it properly, but I want to make it clear to you that if you were to watch this video on your own, even if you were to speak French, there would be no more context than what you have just been given. You wouldn't be able to answer any of the questions that this video practically begs you to ask. Who is this guy? What's going on with him? What happened to him? Why does he need to be told that everything is going to be okay? Is he okay? you will not get the answers to these questions in this video. By this video, I mean his video. I will talk about them. They are answered by something much larger. For Skarblown, the storytelling medium isn't the YouTube video, but the YouTube channel. The video I'm making is going to take you through this larger story. He has a lot of videos on his channel, all of them giving you a small bit of a larger puzzle. But I don't have the time to go and translate all of them for you, no matter how good that would be for watch time. So instead, I've given 5 videos from his catalog that I think punctuate our story best. I can't give you the story the way that he told it, over the course of 2 years through a bunch of animated masterpieces, but what I can do is be your guide. Try and give you the answers to those questions I asked earlier, and present an entirely novel way to do YouTube. So if you'll stick around, let's watch the best YouTube channel that you can't watch.
Salut,
It's
c'est
me,
moi.
Pierre, or Pibal if you're a good friend. You might know me from my music channel, Skarblown. Or not, because in reality there are 0.00001% of the world's population who are subscribed to this channel. But anyway, if you're here by accident, that's fine. It's great even. Welcome. I decided to create this channel, Skarblown Animations, dedicated entirely to animation. So funny. Right, here it'll be a mix of comedy and critical thinking. And don't worry, there will be plenty of videos to see here soon. Yes, I promise. You should subscribe anyway. That was Skarblown's first video. And let's be honest for a second, it's underwhelming. It's just an introduction, but it's an important step when we're looking at the entire story of this channel. It was uploaded on February 17th, 2023, and its title is Coucou, Vraiment Coucou, or Hey There, Really, Hey There, in English. So why is this underwhelming first video important? Because it establishes what this channel is. It's a channel that uses a bunch of individual standalone animations in the realm of comedy and philosophy to tell a grander overarching narrative. The story of his, Skarblown's, life. It's relevant because it gives us our first answer. Who is he? Fundamentally, a musician. And he's a damn good one. I mean, I love his stuff so much that I've used it in almost all of my videos. I don't believe you can understand this meme. Seriously, take a second. I think he did leave out a lot more than he wanted to. Things that I hope this video has shed some light on.
How do you disprove that you've used anal beads to cheat?
But I mean, how could I?
And to be honest, I don't know if I exactly have permission to do that. He says to email if you want to use it, but he's never responded to any of my emails. So I've just been kind of doing it. So if his video gets taken down, you'll know why. But I digress. This music factor is important because it explains a lot about who Skarblown is as a creator. It explains why there's such heavy interplay between his animation and sound design, but moreover, it explains how he structures his content. He treats his YouTube channel like it's an album, individual pieces that share an underlying theme to tell a grander narrative. Except instead of music, it's like a serialized cartoon vlog philosophy commentary video, which is just a classic format. And if you look back to who he was as a musician, you realize that nothing has really changed. His music has always been him trying to tell his story. He once explained that the explicit purpose of starting his animation channel was to tell his story more clearly. Music was always just too shrouded in metaphor to actually properly explain himself. And that's because he doesn't use lyrics as a musician. Hey, this is me in the edit here, and I just want to cut in. There's a version of this video where I didn't actually talk about the music channel itself, and looking back now, I think that's a misstep. I don't want to hide any more information from you, but I want to test Skarblown's theory. Is his story too shrouded in metaphor? I'm going to give you some information about his music tracks, and I want to see if you can figure out what happened to Skarblown before I reveal it through his animations. So, some food for your thoughts. The first song Skarblown uploaded 8 years ago was called We Wait for Clock's End. It's an epic orchestral piece that invokes feelings of a great battle. You've been hearing it in the background for this section. The last song he uploaded 3 years ago, just before starting his new channel, was called The Laws of Life. It's a piece that melds a string section with a careful piano melody. Again, you're listening to it now. Additionally, I have shown you the art he put with him as an extra hint. I'll leave you to make your guesses in the comment section. Now, back to the regularly scheduled programming. So the music factor is important because it's the essence of who he is as a creator. But I want to talk a bit more about his animation. Point something out to you that you've probably realized by now. Across the videos you've seen, you might have noticed that Skarblown's style is strangely simple. It's all in black and white, there's no shading, and there's nothing that's too high in detail. And yet, it's all incredible in the way that it looks. Why is that? Movement! 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 Fuck my breath. Skarblown focuses on how things move within and through a space, how they can morph, transition, and vibrate to express far more than if they were stationary. He also focuses a lot on sound design, how moving things should sound, but more interestingly, how sounds should move.
Ce chant, c'est celui du merle noir.
I'm sorry, I just made you listen to some French. The sounds were the focus. The sounds. Full disclosure, that clip wasn't even from the video we're going to be talking about in this section. It was from the video from the beginning, Ça va aller. It just made for a useful segue. The video we're actually going to be talking about is D'étranges couleurs dans ma tête, or The Strange Colors in My Head. In terms of getting to know him as a content creator, I think this video is the most important. Where Coucou Vraiment Coucou is like a Tinder profile, this is like a yap on a third date where you're lying in bed next to each other and you learn way more than what you bargained for. So if you ask my ex, you'll know that means he's kind of encroaching on my territory. Anyway, what's the yap about? What it's like having a condition called synesthesia. What's synesthesia? I'll let him explain. Synesthesia. The hell is that? Synesthesia is a neurological condition which results in a mixing of your senses. People who have it are called synesthetes, and will, for example, be able to taste certain colors or see music, and since their childhood. Largely, one sense involuntarily engages another, or many others. In reality, there's a ridiculous number of possible connections. He goes on to explain a lot more about the concept of synesthesia, like how all the associations are automatic, involuntary, permanent, and unchanging. But I don't want to just translate his entire video. I want to focus on what his synesthesia means for who he is as a content creator. Connecting this back to what I was saying earlier, he largely only draws in black and white. He broke the fuck out of that rule in this video. He used all of the colors. This video was huge. Most of his videos are short. This video was like 2 to 4 times the length. It's huge. It had a whole 2012 Minecraft YouTube channel style intro. It's really cool, right? If you watch my other videos, you'll notice that I've kind of taken some inspiration. I don't usually do this whole wearing color thing. In fact, check this out. Huh? Not bad. He explains that while some people's synesthesia is so vivid that they have entire landscapes with all of the sounds, colors, flora, and fauna associated with something as minor as a single number, his synesthesia is a bit more relaxed. For him, all of the numbers and letters have their own color and personality, though it's less of a personality and more of a temperance. This is kind of a tangent, but my favorite description of his is his number 4, who is feminine with a deep, unnerving red color, stylish but should be taken seriously, and has the texture of paper alongside being checkered since it became 14. He has these kinds of descriptions for all of them. They're great. You might think this sounds a bit weird or bullshit even, but if you're familiar with my channel, you'll understand that a big thing for me is health mis- and disinformation. So to be clear, synesthesia is a very real medical condition that has been independently verified many times over many years. But to be honest, you shouldn't need a scientific paper to know that because it's evident in his videos. That motion I mentioned before is a pretty clear reflection of how vividly he sees the world. He once explained that he chose the medium of animation because it allows him to better express himself, and that whilst he loves recording things in real life, it imposes too many constraints. Whereas animation, it gives me complete freedom! Complete freedom to talk about how something like synesthesia can actually be pretty hard to have at times. It can feel alienating, like everything around you is wrong, and it's especially difficult when you're a kid. That emotional honesty is so core to what I find intriguing about his content. The way he expresses himself is so unique, and while that's something to be valued, recognizing why that is and the downsides of it creates this story and it grounds it in how real this is to him. He even dedicated this video to his mum, who is a synesthete also, and it shows this theme of him really caring about his family throughout his videos. But when you take all of this into consideration, his decision to not use color in his animation becomes a lot more transparent in its oddity. It's like he's purposefully holding himself back by restricting his color palette. Anyway, you understand Skarblown a bit more now, so I want to have a look back at where we started. At the moment, my insomnia has been pretty bad. But recently, there was one night where I really just couldn't stop thinking. I was working, like usual, until late into the night, before finally going to bed whilst listening to some music. And at that moment, it's like everything disappeared from within me. But sometimes, there are still a few thoughts. Thoughts that bring me even further. To 3 a.m. And that obviously begs the question of what if I can't go to sleep? Which is funny, since the moment I asked myself that question, well, it's already 4 a.m. But this time, I was still wide awake. Awake because in this true darkness, even later in the night, a strangely familiar noise came to my ears. That song was that of the blackbird. Only those who stay up properly late can hear it break the night silence during the month of March. It's the bird that tells you the springtime is at our door. There's a reason I chose this video to start off my video. Yes, it's a good midway point, but fuck, it's just the best in terms of artistic storytelling and pure poetry. Speaking of which, I told you we'd come back to the poem. Now that we are back, I want to see if we can decode some of the answers to our questions. So let's make your English teacher proud and do some literary analysis. The opening line reads, "Bravo à toi, tu as traversé l'hiver encore une fois." Or, "You've done well, you've made it through the winter once again." One important thing about French poetry is that they are absolutely, unabashedly obsessed with the winter, and all the seasons in general, to be honest. Given the earlier context of the blackbird welcoming the spring and the release date of the video, March 15th, this is of course in some sense literal. Winter is over, spring is here. But when Skarblown talks about the winter, he's more of a talking about the winter, feelings of loneliness, lament, and cold, unchanging days. You will soon no longer be buried in these cold days. The winter is the cold loneliness, right? And this is something that he evidently affirms in the next line of the poem, that winter is these cold, lonely days. And thus, the spring is the return to life. Moving through, we get this portion, and I want to focus right now on that last line. It will be okay. In French, that's ça va aller, which is the title of the video. In a pure direct translation, ça va aller would be it will go. But that kind of shows the failures of direct translation. When you translate something, the most important part is to preserve meaning. More specifically, the intended meaning. And I want to talk about what that meaning is, because when he says okay, it's not some polite or dismissive okay. Rather, it's the type of okay that you are when someone punches you in the face, or when I sleep with your mum. It's one where it sucks, but there's nothing you can do about it now, and you just have to move on. So to bring that back, when he's focusing on the seasons, he's saying that what's to come, the strange amount of change that comes with the spring, will ultimately be a benefit. And the rest of the poem affirms this. Difficulty, hardship, change, these are things you can't change, but that's because nothing is ever the same, and ultimately, you are not alone. The universe is growing with you, and that brings us to where we get in the end. The magic of nothing is that it can contain everything. In the end, everything passes. And that line, it just leaves a burning question in your mind. There's an emptiness that is allowing him to change. What is he referring to though? This video is like a bullet hole in a wall. It alludes to the fact that something happened, something that he has to get past. It's like he made this video as a counterpart to something that doesn't yet exist. What is the bullet? Our question from earlier. What happened to him? Why does he need to be told it'll be okay? What happened to Pierre? To Pibal? Skarblown posted Ça va aller on March 15th, 2024. At the beginning of the spring. On February 24th, 2025, at the end of the winter and 2 years since he started his channel, he finally answered that question. Today it's been 2 years. 2 years since I sketched these white lines on a black background. 2 years since I tried to lie. Since I tried to feign apathy. But no matter where I went, you would always catch me. You're always there in every trace, in every movement, in every imperfection, and in every detail. In reality, this was just a convoluted way to express the inexpressible. It was my way of turning off the light. From here, Skarblown reflects on how he's not an expert on the topics that he discusses, how he's no philosopher or scientist, how he feels like he's doing nothing, going nowhere, and how this channel has just made it so obvious how little he really knows. You know, it's a feeling I relate to. How can you make content without contributing to this plague of slop on the internet right now? Landing in this ruined oasis, he says he feels like his creations are slipping through his fingers, like the art from before. But nevertheless, he says that he knows why. My character has never existed alone on the page. He existed well before this channel. And above all, he's always accompanied by promises of adventures and untrodden pathways, or simply of him. That's my brother. He's the one who designed me. And me, I'm the one who designed him. And that represents how well ingrained we were with each other. We understood one another without saying a word. A brotherhood that could get through anything. In 2016, in the middle of a great summer, a diagnosis came and hit us like a truck. After 7 years of an invisible and insidious fight, in 2023, my brother left us. At the same time, this channel started to grow. In hindsight, this channel feels like death, where every episode is only a shitty attempt to avoid or materialize the emptiness. He says his videos represent his obsessive attempts to try and find meaning in what couldn't be explained, and reminiscent of the halfway point of our story. A dove comes on screen, as Skarblown talks about his brother being on the other side. As if the one true problem of life only really has one solution. This solution is something he loses himself in. It's a question of his opinions, his identity, all of it drowned in what his life has become. I spent a lot of time trying to make myself more like you, and now I have to relearn everything. As if I'm meeting myself for the first time, as important as you've been for me. Here he talks about how all of this is pretty personal, but relevant, saying that he can't talk about his life without talking about the point where all of it was flipped on its head. And he mentions the solution again. How can he let go of his brother? Patch the bullet hole. So I decided to continue, though that means I'll have to learn to listen to myself, put down my pencil and let you go. You persist to reconcile the order and disorder, the body and the spirit, reason and emotion, everything and nothing, life and death. Because separation is unsustainable, and thus to reconcile these things, we are united in existence. So we will always be together. right, maybe let's take a second to recuperate. That was pretty intense, huh? We've got most of our questions answered by now. To recap, Skarblown is a musician and animator with synesthesia who was haunted by the death of his brother 2 years ago due to a brain tumor. Fuck. I don't want to talk about what that means for his channel and where he went from here, but for a second, I want to talk about what this video means for me. It's been hard for me to make this video, the one you're watching, especially that part before. This video has taken a while to get out. Things haven't been the easiest at the moment for me, and I can somewhat relate to how Skarblown is feeling. About memories being stained with the presence of someone you can no longer see. I'm pretty proud of what I've made here, but I've deleted and rewrote almost everything like 1,000 times. Skarblown started his channel to tell his story, about what it's like to be him, with synesthesia and an obsession to remember everything, but also his personal struggles with insomnia and feeling like he's out of place, alongside the feelings of losing the person closest to him. What have I added in value here? I recently made a video about that chess cheating scandal from a few years ago, and I was scared to show a 5-second Keir Starmer clip. I just played a 6-minute video for you that was my only input on was to translate it. Is translating something enough to make my content valuable? Or have I just stolen and repackaged someone else's content? Is that something to be proud of? I started this channel, Cats, about a month ago. I feel like I've come a long way in the quality of my content in such a short period of time, and it's done so much better than I thought it would at this point. But I've started to question what exactly I'm doing here. Are the videos I'm making valuable, or am I contributing to this epidemic of slop? I don't think I am right now, but is that the direction I'm going in? Skarblown makes incredible content, but he questions what he's making. That doesn't feel right to me, and it certainly doesn't make me feel good about what I'm doing. I'm not going to end this video in this sad, melancholic state. I do somewhat feel that way, but I also feel really positive. It's a bit of a mix up there. I've shown you 4 videos from Skarblown so far. They make up 4 key points in what he calls the first chapter of his channel. One predominantly of black and white drawings and constantly in the shadow of his brother's death. And he really is always there. Sometimes physically, as he was in his video about Minecraft, and sometimes more spiritually, like in the poem where he's the bullet in the bullet hole, or in his video about how no one can ever truly understand you. It's hard not to think about how he's thinking of his brother, who was the one person he said could understand him. But that's much of a muchness, because, you know, a first chapter is never the end. For when one chapter ends, another begins. I've often thought it valuable to stay loyal to the person I once was. But then, can I still know who I am? Have I ever been myself? When we change, should we turn our back to it? Or should we face it? Do we keep changing? Or do we grow further from our true selves? In the end, you could say asking all these questions is pointless. When you feel the need to change, there's no need for philosophical rationalization. In this moment, it's something I feel, and feelings, they are nothing but true. Wasn't that just beautiful? I mean, it would have been entirely incomprehensible if it just got recommended to you on your homepage, but because you have the context of his other videos on his channel, it provides a phenomenal ending to the story that we've seen. One that is not only enabled by being on YouTube, but directly interacts with the style and medium of the YouTube video. It wouldn't work in any other medium. His way of moving on from his brother's death was to literally reinvent his character's persona in his videos. It's like watching therapy in real time. Also, I know it's kind of hypocritical that I played that whole half of a video uninterrupted when I went on that whole tirade about wanting to not just repackage someone else's content, but I felt like my input wasn't warranted there. I couldn't add anything within that. However, now that we're here, I want to look back at what is the entirety of our story, analyzing it through the lens of the questions we've posed throughout the video. Skarblown is a musician and animator who has lived with synesthesia his entire life. He started his music channel after his brother got diagnosed with cancer, waiting for clock's end, and he lost his brother right when his animation channel started to take off. Since his brother's death, he's felt constant turmoil in how he should move past things. He's limited himself in what colors he can use, and he's refrained from redesigning his character design that his brother drew for him because he's been holding on. Which leaves one question: is he okay? Yeah, this video marked the start of what is a new era on his channel over the past 9 months. A new color that allows him to express himself more and more authentically. A new character design divorced of his brother's input. And upbeat videos unburdened by the weight of his brother's death. Plus, he's uploading a lot more than he could before. You know, he's not restricted anymore. Except, that's not true. Of course, it's not that simple. What I said there sounded semi-psychotic. I made this video with ulterior motives other than just showing you this cool YouTube channel. I recently found out that he has auto-dubbed versions of his content, and just listen to this.
Est-ce qu'il y a encore des gens là? Parce que est-ce qu'on peut foutre de la lumière aussi? Non, par contre, c'est le printemps, donc une vraie lumière. Voilà, c'est mieux.
Are there still people there? Because can we also add some light? No, on the other hand, it's spring, so real light. That's better.
I couldn't let that be the only impression English-speaking audiences have of him. But more, I completely lied to you again. I don't know why you trust me anymore. Skarblown hasn't posted much lately. He's posted 2 videos since Le Page Tourne, and it's been nearly 6 months since his last one. It's become evident to me that it's winter at the moment. About a month ago, he posted on his Instagram that he's been dealing with a lot lately. Mourning, creative block, a search for meaning, a need for air, an identity crisis. This year has been hard for him in terms of his mental health. Clearly, whilst he tried to act like it, he's not over his brother's death. But I mean, how could he be? So really, I made this video for him. I mean, I obviously made it for you, the viewer, as well. I'll get to that in a second. But this is a channel that's inspired me so much. He's made me believe that you can reinvent the wheel, make something that's equally as entertaining as it is educational, that you can still make valuable content on the internet. And it makes me sad that he doesn't feel that. To me, his channel is what YouTube is for. Personal expression that has real value on an emotional and critical level. And I wanted to prove that people can take YouTube videos seriously as a critical piece of literature or film. And to say to you, the viewer, hey, there is better content out there. As I said before, I've been in a bad way recently. And, you know, I find myself just doom scrolling slop. But I want to prove to myself and to you that there's better content out there. That there's great shit on this platform that's just not being shown to you. I truly believe that YouTube videos should be held to a higher standard, and that this platform isn't just for ChatGPT LLM slop, no matter how much the company itself wants it to be that way. That people who watch YouTube aren't doing it just for the sake of mindless consumption. In fact, I've actually linked a playlist down below of some of my favorite content creators, because I want to make a case for a better YouTube. And I think that's what Skarblown does for me. Anyway, that's the video. Skarblown, if you're watching this, please feel free to reach out. And to you, the viewer, I hope you had a bit of fun. Maybe learn something watching the best YouTube channel that you can't watch.
If I read the room, you'd probably be here standing. Instead I opted to